you are going to be entering manhood.
Yes.
At least short version of it. So we're going to be doing a project that is something we are so passionate about, which is
Box.
what? Airsoft! We're going to be building a box for the airsoft trailer. Okay, hey, you might be a little bit nervous. I heard that Gertrude is going to be watching, so, you know, was it Gertrude? Matilda, Esmeralda, Genevieve. Yeah, I feel like you got to work with me here. So we're gonna take a look at the airsoft trailer because we're gonna actually be building a shelf and a box to house that shelf. And I'm gonna have Chris doing most of it now. All right, let's go. You ready? You excited? Okay.
Definitely.
Let's go. All right, let's do this. Brown, put it away. All right, folks, we are back. We are back in full effect, and we are ready to get started. We are gonna have. You have one particularly hard head, sir. All right, let's take these off. No more messing around. We are getting. I know you probably want to tilt the camera that way and then tilt it this way because you want to.
Sorry.
That's for another day. On. Okay, that's for another camera. That's for another day. But today, here's what we're focusing on right here. So if Chris, who goes by the handle Superman, we're going to be building another tray. As you can see right here, I've got this little cabinet build, and I did this first tray that has all the wiring housed underneath it. We use that for charging obviously our airsoft batteries and our walkie-talkies, right? So our bail things. So we're going to build another one of that. So the first thing that we need to do, Chris, okay, because now this is your moment to shine, all right? We're going to be looking at a tape measure. Where's your tape measure, bud?
Look back there.
Okay. All right, great video. Thanks for showing up today. Now go get it! All right, well, we need to first figure out basically our width, if you will. So let's measure from the inside of this wall to the inside of this wall to figure out our width of the actual box we're about to build. All right, there we go. And then pop in here. This will give you a better view, okay? So if you notice that distance, what do we got?
4 inches.
So 14 and
3/4 or
3/4. That's absolutely right. So that's our width. So let's do this. I promise you this will be one of the things that will serve you extremely well in the future. Write that down. Otherwise you'll be back out here, we'll be remeasuring. All right, so write down width anywhere. Just do a W. And then, remember what your measurement was? 14 3/4 of an inch. So 4. There we go. And then now, one of the other things I want to teach you guys is this. Whenever you see a lot of measurements, you're going to see sometimes a single dash behind it. That represents feet, okay? Versus if you were to go, so this would be 14 3/4. As far, if this were there, it would be feet. But that's actually inches, right? 14 3/4 of an inch, all right? So that's how we're going to do that. Now, there's two other dimensions that we need to get. So there's always the width. There's basically going to be the height, if you will, and then there's going to be the total length, if you will, of the box. So let's do this. Let's look at the actual depth of the length going back from the very back to the front. Can you tell me what that looks like?
26 inches and 1/4.
Okay, so 26 1/4. So let's write that down. And then remember what the inch emblem is? It's going to be right there, so write that down there. All right, good. It's mildly overkill, but I like it. We're going to do 3/4 inch. So this is actually a 3/4 inch maple veneer plywood, okay? So this is this came from a full sheet. A full sheet of plywood is traditionally 4 feet by 8 feet long and is 3/4 of an inch thick, okay? So we'll be using this for our sides as well as our bottom, and I think we are going to be able to get everything we need from this one piece of board. And we talked about the distance from the very front to the very back as being 26 1/4. So do you think we should cut this board at 26 1/4? The answer is probably no, right? Because we have to subtract the depth of that front board and this one. So if we take 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch, that's 1.5 inches. So we have to take 26 1/4 and we have to minus 1.5 basically inches, right? And that is going to give us our distance of these two boards from front to back, okay? That's always the hardest thing, is compensating for all the various steps, like the slide, right? It's a half an inch. And then we have the depth of the board and just kind of knowing it. And here's the thing, the honest truth is, just try. Just try. The only way, in my opinion, the only way to fail is to not try. So even if we make this box and it doesn't work, guess what? We will have learned something. 26 and a fourth, right? A fourth, if you divide 1 by 4, will give you 0.25. So let's another way to write that is 26.25 inches minus, and then I did 1.5. I already did the translation, but 1 divided by 2 would give you 0.5. So 1.5. There is no shame in utilizing the tools that God has given us. So, Chris, let's do this. Can you figure out what's 26.25 on this minus 26.25 minus, which is right there, bud, minus that 1.5 inches, which is 1.5. What do we got? And then hit equals. It's 24.75 or 24 3/4. All right. So I'm going to now cut just those 3-inch strips, and I'm going to do that real quick. So let me do a few of these. So I'm going to show you this first one, and then you get to mark the next one. So 13 3/4 is this mark right here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a line off. Okay, but notice how I did a little V shape. Here's one of the challenges that a lot of people have. Let's say I mark 16, I go like that. Okay, and then I know that it's right here, but I walk away and I come back later and I look at this line. And I'm like, oh, what if I were to make the line here? Because it's at a diagonal. Right? So I don't know if I measured off this spot or this spot. So it can add some slop to it. When you do a V, it's always, the mark goes right where this point is. You see what I mean? And so we've got this little delve square. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to have you come in. We're going to put your pencil down, bring it right up to it. Then you're going to scribe a line. See how that just made a line for us? Make sense? Okay. So now, let's do this. I'm going to have you go on this side. And I want you to do that same thing. So measure from here to here, and then mark 3, 13, yeah. There it is, yeah. So now, if you let go ahead and let go. See how it's going to move? Do you remember what I showed you, how we stopped that? Mm-hmm. There you go, just like that. I'll grab the pencil, and then mark your spot. 13.
Here?
Yeah.
V.
Yeah, but the point's got to come right off that 3/4. Yep. There you go. That's it. Look at that. That's perfect. That does look like an upside down. And then you take this out of your trusty holster, and you're going to pop that on. Remember how we did that? Grab your pencil. So you're setting it down at the point of the, and then you're going to hold it really firm against this so you know that it's square, and then go ahead and scribe your line. And then pull it all the way back as well. Okay, pop that right back in here. Always put it back where you have it so you always know where it's at. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, so that's 3/4. So you're going to pop that down and do your little. The other side. Okay. Okay. And remember to mark your line. There we go. This is another thing that I think is good to do. What I would do is I know that this is what I want. So I'm going to actually mark 24 3/4 on the board, just so that I know that. And I'll do the same over here, 13 3/4. So that way later on, if you need to Okay, so that's that one. All right, so those are our 4 pieces. So instead of using the table saw, which would actually be fairly unsafe off of the fence, we're going to use our sliding miter saw. So let's bring these over. I'll let you carry this one. All right. All right. So Chris, with this one, you want to always check right here. So come over, bud. If I just put this in and I try to cut it, where this little tab is, that means that right now I'm cutting at a 15-degree angle. So I need to adjust this. So I'm going to flip this up. All right. I'm going to click that, and that will move it back. And it'll auto stop here. That's 0. That's going to give me what I want. I'm going to lock this back down. All right. And so now I got to pull this out just a little bit. Here's the other thing I want to point out to you, Chris, is when I bring this back, I don't want to cut exactly on the line, like in the middle of it, because then my measurement's going to be too far into the line. I want to just end right at that line. So see how the outside of my tooth, and again, right now, this isn't plugged in, so it's safe for me to be putting my fingers a little bit closer, but even with that, I'm going to still use this pencil. So Chris, come on over here. See where the side of this tooth, where it comes in, it's going to cut basically right at that line, right? So that's what you want to do, as opposed to like doing something like this, where yes, that'd still be on the line, but you're about a 1/16 of an inch too far over, okay? So we're going to move right there, all right? So that's exactly where we want it. Let's get it plugged in and let's get these cut. If you look at this board, we're going to cut this, but right now, I don't know which side is my good part. So I don't know if I need to put it on this line or if it needs to be on this line. So notice on my last board, how I marked this, so I know this is my section, this is my throwaway. Or on this one, remember I squiggled the line, so I knew that was the throwaway side. So that's one of the reasons why we would want to make sure that when we're measuring these, we would say, okay, we want 24, which is actually going to be this side. So this is 24 3/4. What I like to do is swiggle a line on the side I'm not going to use. So that way I know exactly how to line it up, okay? So let's bring this in here. I'm going to flip around so the camera can see it a little bit better. Get right on the edge of that line. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's bring these over here, buddy. Ooh, wow. Okay, so in a sense, Chris, this is going to be the front part of our tray, the part that pulls out. So I want to have it so that my hardware, the holes that we're about to do, will come in on the side. And we're going to actually do both types. We're going to do a pocket hole, and we're just going to do the straight drill in, drill out. We're going to do pocket holes on the front. Why? So that you don't see the holes. So from the front, when you're looking at it in the trailer, it'll just be all clean. But in the back, where no one's ever going to see it because it's on the back side of that, we'll just do them straight into the edge here. And then we'll call it good. Make sense? And that way you guys get to see both, and you get to see both. Y'all set?
Yeah.
All right. One. All right, so now we're going to take this. All right, I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to move this in just a little bit. And then I'm going to actually squeeze this down. So see how that board's really locked in there very well. Okay, so now, yep, see how that? It's really good. And you want it nice and flat. So we're going to take this, and you're going to drill in this hole and this hole all the way down. This is what they call a stop. So this will take us to a certain depth, and then we can't go beyond that. Okay, so I'm going to give this to you. I'm going to grab on. All right, come in here. First set it in before you pull the trigger, so get right over top so you can get your muscle down into it. So kind of at a side, you're right-handed, so put that in right here. And you get it kind of started. Okay, now back it up just a tiny bit, and now pull the trigger. Hold on really tight though. Hold on, all the way. Pull that trigger all the way. Keep it and hold it down, bud. And then we're gonna push down. Hold that trigger. Just like that. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing to the next one. You got it? I'm gonna give it to you. Pull the trigger, bring it up, pull the trigger. And now I'm gonna bring it up a little bit just to see how the sawdust. Okay, let go. All right, there you go. Take that off to the side. So now we can release it. See, those are our holes, and that's going to drill it at a perfect angle and a perfect depth for us to join these two boards together. That will screw right into this, okay? Now, and actually we want to do it more like this though, okay? And the only reason why I say that is because we want the angle is going to pull the board down into the wood like this. We want it, it'll snug its way in. One thing with pocket holes that you got to do is you got to squeeze the life out of that joint before you do it. Otherwise, these are known to move. And what I mean by that is as I cinch it down, see how this might be nice and flush, but all of a sudden the screw, because it's at an angle, will pull that board. And I'm over exaggerating, of course, but see how it pulled it and moved it in, which we don't want. So we're gonna put it on, we're gonna clamp this thing up, and then we're gonna go ahead and we'll screw it after it's clamped, okay? So let's do the same thing to this board. All right, so come on over here, bud. Grab this. Make sure it's centered right where you want, and then you're gonna pop this down. Okay, and then go and give me that one and that one.
A and B.
A and B.
Ow.
Nice. All the way. Up and out, yep. Nice. Oh, well done. You even cleared it off. I like that. And then the other one. Look at that.
Beautiful marks.
Emphasis on beautiful. We're going to grab a couple of what we call parallel clamps. So there's one, that's mildly overkill, but hey, this is a wood shop, so let's do what we got to do. All right, we'll pull this one over, squeeze those clamps. So what we're going to do is notice, I'm going to set this down over here. Okay. And then I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to squeeze out the corner just a little bit, okay? Now, what I want to do is this side over here. See how I'm making this flush, Chris? This side right here? And this is mainly the main joint that we need to worry about. Now, let's go ahead and pull out your 6-shooter. Let's look at this inside, this angle right here. So if you can get that on the camera, I'm gonna bring it together, okay? I wanna make sure that this joint is gonna be nice and square. Now, I'm gonna intentionally throw it off. Okay, notice how I move that. Notice if I put that in the corner, do you see see that big gap right there? We do not want that. So we're gonna move this until this is a 90-degree angle, okay? Now, I'm gonna tighten this down, and I mean squeeze that one, okay? And it's still at a 90 degree. And then I'm just gonna start that in that spot, okay? Just like that. And then I'm gonna put in one more. You get to do the other side. All right. Let me check just in case it didn't work well. It's perfect, you can look. Let's tighten it up, so turn this. You're gonna turn it just like this. Okay, can you do that? Get it so it's nice. There you go. Now, here's the thing. This one, you're gonna have to really put a lot of pressure on it. Go ahead and start the trigger. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah. You hear all of a sudden go really low? You've driven it. It's fully seated into the wood, okay? Let's do this. So now we're gonna go on the other side. I'm gonna show you guys the other approach. And these just kind of help me set that 90-degree angle. So now we're gonna actually drill kind of a pilot, and this will actually give us what's called a countersink, right? All right, so we're gonna come right in here. Okay, now notice not only did I drill a hole, but it actually carved out a place for the head of the screw. What? All right, so now we're gonna actually put this in, just like that, so it grabbed. Okay, make sense? Mm-hmm. So what we're gonna do is now let's actually do it on the top, but I'm gonna let you do this particular one. That's nice and flush. Feel that? Because you don't even feel a lip at all. So we're gonna have you mark it right at the top. I'm gonna put one right there, bud. So you're gonna do it up top right in there. Okay, now if you were doing this on your own, you'd have to have one hand on it and then one hand holding this, right? So go move it. A little bit right there. There you go. Go ahead and pull the trigger. Once that stops spinning like this, then you can back it off. That's how you know when you've done the appropriate depth in. Yep, and then pull the trigger whenever you're ready. Nice and easy. There you go. So see how that's recessed? You don't even feel that it's there. It's actually countersunk into the board. All right. So let's do the other side, and then we'll call it good. All right. So now we've actually got the bottom plate. This is actually a 1/4 inch that we're going to end up using rather than 3/4 of an inch. It's just unnecessary. This cut out to the exact shape of the actual bottom. Okay. So let's do this. We're going to line that up. See how I'm getting it flush on both sides, and we're going to use this brad nail. So what we do when it comes to the brad nail is you're going to actually press this tip down halfway in, then you pull the trigger and it shoots a little brad nail into it, okay? Now, I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna do it every so often. I'm gonna come to this 1/4. I'll come back. And then that's the fasteners, okay? What I'm gonna do to help make sure everything's square, just line this up and everything checks out perfect. So now let's have you try it. So again, it will not fire the trigger unless this is depressed down. So you must actually push it down before pulling the trigger. Okay? So let's have you come on, Chris. There we go.
Press it.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. So we'll finish that for the rest of these real quick. Okay. Now. Okay. Okay. This is ready to go into the trailer with the slides. Okay, so this is basically our board that we're going to use to make sure it's the same on this side, and then we'll put it on this side and do the same over here. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to put that right here. I'm going to take our slide. This is going to go in here, and I just want to make sure it's at the exact same spot. I could do it right up to the edge if I want. In fact, I'll just do that. I won't even do this. Let's go right up to the edge. Okay, now this is where we're going to utilize, and I'll show you on this one, that center punch, which is right here. So we're going to formulate our opening. So I'm going to drill in one. So come on over here, you'll be able to see. Punch it in, just like that. I'm going to go to the back one. Just like that. And then one more in the very, very back. Do that. And let's see right here. It's going to be directly in the center. There we go. There's one. And then I'm going to have you do this other one. There we go. Cinch down. And then we probably don't need to do. There you go. Okay. Now if you want, we can screw on those first couple of ones to get them set, and that'll make it stable, so the back one will be easier for you. So go ahead and let's put this down. Go ahead and grab a screw. Then grab a gun. Oh, I know these can be heavy. But, all right, see that first one that you did? We got to drive that screw right in. Yeah, right where that hole is, yep. So make sure it's centered, like it's straight. Okay, now go ahead and pull the trigger. A little bit. There we go. Ease it in. Ease it in. Stop. There we go. Okay, good. All right, there's that. See how it's kind of supporting itself? So now take this one, put that in right here. And I'm going to probably get ridiculed, but that's okay.
Pulls in the back there.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah. just until it grabs. There you go. Okay. Push. Pull the trigger all the way, bud. Back it off. There you go. Okay, and then.
Ready?
Yeah.
Slow or faster?
You're slow. Okay. Always gonna do slow and then stop. Stop, stop. So see how it spun at the end and it wasn't driving in? That's what will kind of strip that just a little bit. All right. So to finish the last one, you do the first two always like that. Then there's these little tabs. See how I can push that up? I'm gonna push this one up. This one goes down, and those will come right off. Yeah. There you go. Okay, you wanna put that one in? Oh, nice and slow. That's where you want to slow it down. You can give it another switch. There. See how it grabbed it? Last screw. Here we go. Straight. Yeah, there you go. Slow. Keep going, keep going. Good. Comes all the way out. And push it all the way out. Just like that. Cool, right? Mm-hmm. Today we are going to be anointing you. Crap. 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 On.